It is 3:15 a.m. I know the sign behind me says departures. This is where the Nigerian returnees from Ukraine will be coming in from, and they say at about 3:30 a.m., so that's about in 15 minutes' time. This particular flight is an Asman flight carrying about 180 Nigerians who have escaped from Ukraine into Romania. So these particular returnees are coming in from Romania. The team to receive these returnees are already here. We have NEMA, we have NAPTIP, we've got the police, we've got other agencies all gathered here waiting for these returnees to get in here. And we'll be looking forward to hearing what their experiences have been following the crisis in Ukraine and what their hopes are for the future. And of course, what plans the government has to rehabilitate them as they come back to Nigeria.
They will be guided through this entry into this hall. The port health services will begin their operations by monitoring the temperature as they pass through this point. And then they will be guided to sit down. Profiling will take place while they are seated. We expect port health services and other agencies that have forms to distribute to them to do that while they are seated. It will be a kind of simultaneous operation for us while they are seated and filling forms. The port health services and NCDC will call them out, and then they will collect samples from them. We have 8 stations, 4 on the other side and 4 here. They will collect samples from them for their PCR tests, and then they will join back. As they complete their registration, for those that have completed their registrations and also done the sample collection, they will be ushered to the immigration section for further documentation. We also, I don't know if the Refugee Commission is here with the takeaway packs. We are thinking that, and that is open to suggestion now, thinking that the takeaway packs can be administered here before they exit the hall. From NEMA, a $100 note will also be given here, so that as they exit and they are done with immigration, they can exit the hall. Some of the parents are already waiting outside, the relatives are waiting outside to receive them, and we have prepositioned some ambulances in case of medical emergencies, which we do not envisage, but those provisions have been made. So in the next 30 minutes, according to the information we gathered, the estimated time of arrival here is 0710 hours. That's 7:10. That's less than 30 minutes from now. So please, if you have other things you need to put in place within that time, this is time to do that. And for the members of the press, I think where you are stationed right now is good enough. But soon, that's for the purpose of you, that's for you to be able to view them as they come in. As to whether you want to capture them as they descend or disembark the aircraft, we'll think about that now. But while they are here, coming in, you can as well capture them here. When they are in, we expect that you move away from that location so that the post services and other profilers can do their job uninterrupted. If there are other questions to ask, you'll be given opportunities to do that. We also expect that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development will be on ground to address the returnees. We have not decided where that will be done. It's very convenient here. On the other hand, she may want to brief them at the foot of the aircraft or while they are still on board the aircraft. That will be communicated to us. Are there clarifications? Please don't make it long. This is not media chat, yes.
Be on. For your colleagues that are in Sumi, a lot is already being done to create a safe corridor to bring them all out. But while you are here this morning, we want to just let you know of a few things that have been put in place for you. As you come down in 2 files, you will walk straight to meet with Ports Authority, and there the Health Ports Authority will give you forms to fill. We will only take your samples for the COVID test. As you are all aware, it was waived for us before you got on the plane. The moment that is done, you will be directed to immigration, and as soon as you are done with immigration, we will direct you to where you will collect a token of transportation for you to be able to head back home. For those of you whose parents and what are here to pick you up, we have made adequate arrangements for you to meet with them as soon as these processes are concluded. We will try our very best not to waste your time. We will keep it as short as possible so that you can quickly join your loved ones. For those of you that have nowhere to go yet, please do not hesitate to inform us so that we can take up from there. Once again, on behalf of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, the federal government, and the good people of Nigeria, and the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Humanitarian Services, together, we want to sincerely welcome you all. As the processes begin, please let us be orderly. Let us be orderly. You are great Nigerians. You are back home. We do not have anything to be afraid of anymore. So we'll take you all one at a time, and we'll do our best not to waste your time. You're all welcome.
The Parliament as well, under the leadership of the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, will also make some of the parliamentary diplomatic engagements with some of our members up there to see how we can support government and support these students to really get back as soon as normalcy returns.
So you mentioned missions.
Yes. Foreign missions, yes.
I think this is not the time.
No. We give them every answer. No problem. No problem. You see, yes, I did. What I'm saying is that, you see, in our budgetary planning process, we never had envisaged this kind of emergencies coming up. Of course, nobody had budgeted for evacuation of students because we never knew of this kind of circumstances. So all I'm saying is that the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs, through the federal government, next time, going forward, should try to envisage some of these things as by way of emergency anticipation, so that when we are budgeting, we budget for the missions to be able to address these kind of circumstances whenever they come up. We don't hope for them to recur, But the fact is that we must make arrangements out of experiences. That's just what I mean. Like you have just seen now, the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs is up and doing. The Permanent Secretary is here with us physically because the Minister is being with the President outside of the country. I believe all arrangements have been put in place. Like I said, we are here to stand in for the people of the country. And as oversights institutionally, we have seen enough arrangements and very adequate arrangements made by the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs to really take care of these circumstances. Those families that are already here will be made available to their wards and pick them up. And where you have challenges or otherwise situations, the government through the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs has made adequate arrangements to really link up these students with their loved ones.
The government of Romania have really cooperated and have assisted in the success of this thing. We have a lot of citizens of Romania who has also come to volunteer to help these students, right from the airports to the hotels where the ministry has kept them. And secondly is to also commend the ministry and the embassies, because they have done wonderfully well. Around the clock, they were with these students, and they made sure that they were all accommodated in hotels and they were given everything they needed. Because we went to the hotels, we met them at the airports, they kept them very comfortable. Our only area of concern now is for those students that are still in Ukraine, and I think we will put our heads together with the ministry to see how the remaining students out there will also come out to safety. So basically that's it.
Complaints that a lot of people on social media had, a lot of these returnees.
What?
There were some complaints that some returnees had on social media talking about racism at borders, especially...
No, that has been taken care of, because the PAMSEC just told me that even the Poland border that there were complaints about, over 2,000 have already crossed into Poland, and they are safely in Poland with the embassy, and there will be evacuation will start immediately today. Some of them will, about three aircrafts, you said, will come in today. So that problem has been taken care of.
Let us begin, first of all, by thanking the Almighty God for their safe return, thanking His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, the federal government, and people of Nigeria for making this possible. And we are also grateful for all the volunteer work that we have enjoyed from all the surrounding countries around Ukraine that have helped our students even during the process of this evacuation. One thing we want to assure you is that government is on top of its game, apart from just getting them in. And this morning they are going through some processes. The COVID test will be done. Immigration clearances will be made. As you are aware, some of them had no passports because they left in a hurry. And so we had to create emergency certificates for all of them. So immigration will do its processes this morning, and then we will have them documented. And then, of course, government has provided a stipend that can afford a flight ticket to everywhere in Nigeria for each and every one of them to be able to go back home this morning. So all that has been made available and is ready as we speak. So before they join their wards, their parents or those that are moving or going over to domestic wing to fly to Lagos or other parts of the country, arrangements have been made. Provision has been made for finances for them to be able to purchase tickets this morning and go on to their parents as soon as the COVID test is done. Apart from that also, government is already talking with the governments of Poland, of Greece, of Romania and Hungary to see if those of them that are in their fifth year medical year, fifth and sixth year, can actually go back to universities in these countries to be able to complete their studies, because we don't want that break. And that already we're seeing very, very positive signs from these countries, and we want to say a very big thank you to these countries for accepting to take them. So please, when you hear that we have received over 4,000 to 5,000 of them, and not all of them are coming, it is not because they are running away. It's because some of them need to stay back to complete their studies. And missions in these countries are doing everything possible in collaboration with the host Ministry of Foreign Affairs and some universities to allow our final year medical students finish up around there, because their curriculum are virtually the same. So a lot is being done in that area. And then for the students that are still trapped in Sumi, we want to encourage parents not to worry. They should be calm. We have had direct talks, especially His Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, has spoken with the UN and the International Office on Migration, and the safe corridor that both countries agreed to create yesterday was a fallout of these talks. That several countries, because so many nationals are held up in Sumi, Nigeria alone will have about 366 students in Sumi. So the moment that safe corridor is created, our mission in Russia will receive them and we will have a plane waiting to bring them back home. So everything is in place and we are trusting God that this evacuation will continue safely. We are expecting 3 other flights later today, 2 from Poland and 1 from Budapest. So we're expecting that at the end of today, we will have brought in close to 1,000 again, apart from the 415 that had just come in this morning.
Thank you very much. What about other courses apart from medical students?
For other courses that are not as intense as medicals, some of them may have to school online. But where we are also able to get some collaborations on those, the ministry will facilitate their return to these nations to be able to do their schooling.
I would like to confirm, how is the exact number of students that you're expecting back in the country? And the stipend you provided to them, how much was that?
$100 each. So we're giving them $100 because we know that the minimum ticket is about 50,000. So whatever it is, we know $100 can take you home in Nigeria.
How many students are you expecting?
We have, I think in all, in Romania, we have 5,635 students registered. 5,635. And we'll be happy to receive as many of them as are coming. But like I said, some of them will stay back, especially those that are in their final year medicine. And we'll encourage them to stay back with the knowledge of mission. We'll work out their papers and work out their schools for them to be able to finish up.
Welcome, guys. Welcome back.
Sorry.
Come back, come on.
So, all right, we were trying to get buses that was going to leave for one of the borders, and I think on Saturday morning, we were finally able to get like a bus that was going to like the Syrian border in Chernivtsi, Ukraine. So we got there, I think at about 4 p.m. we got to like the beginning part of like the border where we saw like a lot of like cars parked and our buses had to stop. So we walked for about 2 hours to get there. So we got to the border, particularly at about 6:05 p.m. and we were struggling to get inside. So at the border, at the Ukrainian side of the border, it was first of all Ukrainians were priority, then the Ukrainian women and children, then it got to a point where we were trying to like all struggle in, and then they were like, oh, ladies first. Our ladies were trying to get in, and like a couple of boys from Morocco, they came and were almost fighting like all the ladies, and we're struggling with them. Then after that, they're like, oh, Indian students first, that because the ambassador, I don't know, sent a bus to come and get them, and we were there from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. the next day under the cold. But luckily, at the border where we were at that particular day, it wasn't snowing, so we were struggling. People were screaming. There was like a lot of tussle to get across the line. I even saw someone climb over people's heads just to get like into the border. It was like really very stressful crossing the Ukrainian side of the border. Then at about 7, because there was this Ghanaian lady who crossed the border first, and she was there. She was trying to plead with the soldiers on the Ukrainian side so they could maybe create a special line for black African students, because apparently the Moroccans thought they were not Africans, so that they could, like, we could get in easily. So at about 7 a.m. in the morning, they created the line finally for us, and we were able to finally cross without like a lot of stress. So when we got passed through like the major border, it was kind of very easy, like moving. And at the Romanian side, we had like Mr. Dyer from the Nigerian embassy in Romania. He was waiting. There was the Romanian government and the people of Romania. They provided like food, they provided water, they provided blankets and different stuff. There was emergency services to take care of everyone. And after they organized a bus, I believe, which took some of us straight from like the city where we landed to the capital in Romania, which is Bucharest. And for some of us, we had to take the train. I took the train, and in the train, the Romanians were really super nice because we didn't actually get seats. So some of them were giving up their seats for us to actually remain seated. And there was like a lot of food that was being like given to us by the Romani people in like the train. So, and when we got like to Bucharest, I think we got free accommodation in like a hotel, which was really very nice because we weren't expecting that like sort of like really nice treatment, but like we were all really surprised and impressed with like the treatment we got. But I think we're a lot of students felt a little bit let down was when, like, earlier we were told to come out, like, because the plane was supposed to be there, and then we were told that, oh, so the plane might not be coming, which was yesterday. But eventually we got, like, information that the plane was going to be there at 6:50 p.m. Romanian time, and it finally came eventually. So all in all, we're really impressed that the Nigerian government, like, especially like the Nigerian embassy, we had like Mr. Dayo, Mr. Bashir, Mr. Okafor, Mrs. Mercy. They were really there for us. Like the embassy in Romania, they did a very good job. Unlike the embassy in Kyiv, where we were told, find your own shelter and take care of yourself. You're on your own. In Kyiv, we were totally abandoned because we wrote the Nigerian embassy in Kyiv because we contacted them and we were like, we need like help. Like, what are we doing? What are we going to do? And they were like, students, take care of yourself, find a place that is safe. And that was strange to us because we were expecting that, maybe they will organize like a bus that will take all of us to like a border where we could cross from, but that was not the case. Maybe if the embassy in Kyiv like gave like a special letter to all the borders, maybe Nigerians would have been able to pass more easily, but we weren't really getting like proper responses from them. And they can't deny that they told us we were on our own because the letter like they sent out, that was basically the message. And we had like friends from like 2014 when like the crisis started initially in 2014 telling us that was the similar response we got. But all in all, we really like appreciative to the Nigerian embassy in Romania and to like the people of Romania. They did a very great job.
My name is Marian Cholom. I was able to leave Ukraine through the Romanian border, Peribny border.
So talk to us about your experience there. Let's start with the embassy in Kiev. How did that go?
Well, I didn't get any information from the embassy in Kiev, maybe because I didn't get the information by myself, or maybe because there was no information at the time, because I was one of the first people to cross into the border through the Romanian border. So when I got to the Romanian border, as I said, I was one of the first people. So there was a lot of Indians and Arabs at the border, and it was very tight because we were the first batch, as I said. And the Arabs decided that not all of them, but most of them decided that they would go first, and the Indians decided that the bus was there, and they decided to go first. And we felt a little bit bad because our bus wasn't there at that time, and it was sad. So it was chaotic because everyone was fighting within themselves, and nobody wanted to be the last to go. So it was very tight. So everyone was practically pushing. There was a lot of stampede. I have joint pain, back pain. But I was able to cross the border, and then because the bus wasn't there, I was picked up by NGO representative when I crossed the Romanian border. But I stayed in Romania for 2 to 3 days, and the NGO representative was able to get in contact with our embassy in Romania, and they were able to arrange a bus to take me to their care in the Otopeni Hotel, and that was how I was able to cross the border. And I wouldn't say I experienced racism because the Ukrainians were not on our side. The Ukrainians were given a separate section from all international students. It was Italians, Nigerians, Arabs, Indians. Anyone who wasn't Ukrainian was on another side, and Ukrainians were in another side because we had different processing. So, and as I said, I was one of the first people. I wouldn't say I experienced racism blatantly, but people who went through the Romanian, through the Poland border, I would say they probably had experiences from over here, because we were not much at our border. We were like 5,000, but over at the Poland border, there were 10,000, 15,000. So I can only imagine what they went through if I went through this.
So talk to us, how would you assess the Nigerian government's response?
I would give the overall score of 7. First, basically because it was a little bit late, because seeing other countries' embassy already doing some things made us feel left out, because a lot of people asked us, what is your embassy doing? And we didn't know what to say. But when the government stepped in, I can see their efforts, and they did good, because it's an emergency. No one prepared for this, and they did good. The hotel we stayed was very good. I don't have a picture, but if you could check Otopeni Hotel, it was a really good hotel. The accommodation was lovely. And I'm hearing now we have a token of, I don't know, $200 or $400, and if that is true, maybe the score will be like 9. No, I will be staying here in Abuja. I live in Abuja, so I just want to go home and see my family.
My name is Akiyomika Godwin, and I'll be going to Lagos from here.
Talk to us a bit about the situation in Ukraine. You know, were you scared for your life? Are you a student? You know, how did it all start?
It just like it wasn't really where I was. Ternopil. It wasn't really bad there.
You're in Chernobyl.
No, Ternopil. It wasn't really bad there, but the sirens were like ringing every day and every day and every day. So that didn't make us feel safe. My friends. So at a certain point we left. We went to the Syrian border, the border bordering Ukraine and Romania, and from there we were able to like cross. But it was terrible. Honestly, it was terrible.
You're scared for your life. What about school? What are your plans? Are you going to go back to school?
If the situation, the crisis dies down, I hope to return back to school.
What were you studying?
Medicine.
You were studying?
Medicine.
Okay. So you're not in your final year yet?
No, I'm in the second year.
Okay. So talk to us a bit about your experience. You know, how did you get to the border?
Well, we took a bus from Ternopil to the border. But the border, there was this kind of long queue of cars, and they were not moving. So we had to trek through the cars. Then we stood at the border for we got there 3 p.m. and we passed by 3 a.m. And we were standing up, we didn't sit down for once.
When you got to the border, how was the reception?
It was, I won't say it was hostile. I felt like the soldiers were not really putting in their best, and maybe due to the stress, because they were so tired. It was obvious that they were tired.
How would you assess the Nigerian government's response?
For we in Romania, I'll say it was quick. I didn't really expect it, honestly. I was feeling like when they said that they were going to take us, I didn't really put my hopes up. So it was quicker than I thought.
Well, thank you.
By the president to each and every one of you of $100 each. It's very important for you, for your transportation back to your various homes. Each one of you will fill a form and you collect your money before you depart this airport. Please, let's all be patient and calm. I beg you, please. The waiting is over. You're back home safe, and that's our joy. We thank God for life. We thank God you're with us.
And if you need anybody to talk to cancel you, like you said, there's going to be food. And if you need any extra assistance, we have the officials in their jacket. Just talk to somebody, but we're here for you. Once again, welcome.
Well, you know, we're talking about 5,000, we're evacuating 5,000 Nigerians. The most important thing is their families need them. The country needs them back. And as you can see, we have 411 students here. The first and most important thing is to get them back home. And then we'll take it up from there. It's for them to be home. That's what we're after.
Okay, so then another aspect is how they will get back to their various homes. Some are not based in
Yes, there's arrangement already put in place. The president has already approved for all the evacuees to be given $100 each to go back home. So that is in place. And each and every one of them is going to collect that now.
Right here?
Yes.
Some of the students actually complained that your response to evacuating them was very late. You came late. And you are National Emergency Management Agency. Why did
you have to, there's need for assessment. As we speak right now, there is no team of NEMA or anybody out there. Now we're just doing the assessment and profiling here. That's what we are trying to do right now. It's not about arranging even the aircraft to do this. It's not something that's easy. So we have 3 other flights coming in today, making it 4 today that are coming into the country.
So are we expecting that more Nigerians in Romania would have opportunity like this? This is the only flight coming in from Romania?
As long as there are Nigerians out there, we are bringing everybody. That's the directive of the President and the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs.
So the Refugee Commission provides a lot of psychosocial support. Would you be providing that for our evacuees?
Like the DG has said, they're going to proceed home with their families, but if they need any further support, we'll be there to give them that kind of assistance until they settle in, because they've been through some kind of trauma.
Okay, so you said if they need. I think they all would need.
Not necessarily. Everybody has their level of resistance and resilience, but if they need us, we're there.
So they have to approach, or there will be
a system they'll put in place to ensure that everybody is fine.
Okay. What other services will Refugee Commission be providing for them?
Protection and assistance.
while here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Over 400 very tired returnees from Romania stand behind me here getting processed and ensuring that they get their tests done, their PCR tests for COVID-19, and to ensure that they get the money that they need to be able to go back to their respective destinations. The education, the federal government tells us, is going to be insured, whether it's going to be that they go back to school online or if they find some kind of arrangement with the schools that they go to. But some medical students, as we heard earlier, are not going to be coming back to the country because they're in the final stages of their schooling. There's so many questions around the crisis in Ukraine and the impact it's had on so many people. But for these Nigerians, they're just glad to be back home. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.